Buongiorno and welcome to Italian Black Metal Review here on Rauta channel. This one is Nazgul Rising with the second album of this band. This one is Cycles of Primal Chaos and it features symphonic, well, somewhat symphonic black metal with very much melodics included, lots of synthesizer, and in general something that we could consider to be part of the so-called Emperor School of black metal. Here you have 12 tracks, over 60 minutes of black metal music. This one is Misanthropia Records release. It has been released under different label in South America, I was told, so there are a couple of different versions of this album out. Now, as you know, Tolkien and black metal have a strong bond in terms of names and themes, but this one doesn't really seem to be Tolkien inspired, or at least how I figured out to be, except for the band name. But yes, this is indeed a melodic, somewhat symphonic, and kind of a catchy black metal, even with the kind of epic length of the album. That is, this could be an album that Emperor themselves released between In the Nightside Eclipse and Anthem's album, or at least after that, before they went very different ways with their music, and in my opinion, not so good stuff. Nazgul Rising was founded in the early 2000s, only to get itself buried a couple of years later and then come back. And 2014 they released their first album. Haven't heard it, cannot really compare it. But Cycles of Primal Chaos is something that is definitely worth listening to for various reasons. Even though it's 68 minutes of music, which is kind of like too much for a lot of people, there are some really good moments, and overall this is definitely a good album. Now let's start with the good stuff and mention the not so good stuff in the end. First of all, these guys know how to write melodies. The kind of catchier ones, the kind of strong ones which just emphasize the feeling of this is epic, somewhat symphonic black metal. Now, none of this is exactly very original, but it's well done, so all this lack of originality or whatever can be just easily forgotten. Also, the synths are used in such ways that it's not overflowing, it's not dominating it too much, but definitely adding interesting layer that this music is, working very well. Now, what makes this a little bit weird, this is kind of a neutral statement, is the vocals are not your typical screamy, raspy black metal ones, but more on the growlier side. Might take a little bit time to get used to that, but I think it's worth it because, it's not like they're bad, they're just something different. And for people coming from both camps, that is death metal and black metal, I don't think there is a problem, not for me anyway, but I'm just saying they are something different, something atypical for this kind of music. Now, what is also interesting is that it seems like there is no real live drummer, and that could be also a kind of a problem for some people. But here, I don't see a problem with the percussion department. Thing here is, even if it's machine-made, I couldn't confirm this, but everything points to it. It seems like these guys handle their drum machine parts well. It's not like the sound is bad and there is something like points out weird. So for me, listening to the album and being a fan of drum pornography, I think it's well done. So there is that. Once again, proving that you can do like non-human drums and do it well and get away with it. And that's an interesting thing. Also, overall, the songwriting is good. It's not so much like these individual songs are too lengthy. It's just almost 70 minutes of music. Could be a little bit like overkill. But then again, if you really handle your melodies and riffs and synth parts well, and there's enough variety and this kind of a good feeling, the atmosphere, which is rocking the boat here, I really complain about it. I guess a little bit shorter version of this album could have rocked even more. But then again, I don't really find any kind of a filler material here. So it's more about honing and polishing the whole idea to a little bit more to make it just great. But definitely Nazgul Rising with this effort is worth listening to. I cannot emphasize it too much that for me anyway, and I'm a big In the Nightside Eclipse fan, I think this album kicks most Ember stuff ever written in the ass. I mean, it's just butt-kicking good, most parts anyway. So it's definitely tapping the right veins, and I think people should give this one a chance. You will find links provided in the description box for more info and all that stuff, so check out your Nazgul Rising. This is very fresh from the oven, being released late June. This date here is only for digital version. The one that I have here was released on the 30th of June 2022, so very fresh from the oven with some good cover art. At least I like how it looks like here. Anyway, give this one a chance, and I hope you enjoy it. Tell me in the comments how did you like it. See you with more reviews coming your way. Bye bye.